What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, get into this Ice-T Power. The Great Debaters. Alright, Amir, so on today's episode of The Great Debaters, for those that haven't already, be sure to subscribe to both Unique Access and Rappin And Snackin on YouTube, please. We both appreciate it because we're trying to keep growing and developing so we can get, the next level of the game, as they say. So, today, the topic at hand is Ice-T's Power. We're going to pick our 3 favorite songs and want you guys to hit us up in the comments as always and let us know what you guys think. And this is Ice-T's second album. Came out in '88, the best year in rap history. And it, in my opinion, I believe is Ice's best album, but he has a couple other ones I hold in rarefied air as well, so it's hard for me to really say, but this is one of his best, if not his best album, and I probably think it's his best album, but it maybe changes here and there. But Amir, for you, what were your initial takes on Ice-T's Power?
On Ice-T's Power, I was sold on the singles I heard first, which were I'm Your Pusher and High Rollers I primarily heard. And I don't really know how I got put onto it, to be quite honest. I just remember seeing the videos and I don't know why. But those got me hooked on the album, and I bought this album before I bought Rhyme Pays.
Okay.
So I was out of order there, as I was early on in my listening, to rap music. But one thing that captivated me, aside from the singles, was just the iconic cover. With
You weren't the only one, Amir.
I wasn't. I had heard everyone, with their posters, or posters not from the album, but also from like the singles. Like I even have a poster in my room of the one that Soren's got right here. Yeah, of that one. So.
Nice
Yeah,
picture.
I mean, it's just like, I feel like the photography, shout out Glenn Friedman, was exceptional. I think that drew in a lot of people as well. So maybe that was one of the reasons why I got this album before Rhyme Pays. I don't remember, but I did like the singles. And speaking of which, I should probably get into one of mine, because one of mine is one of the singles, I'm Your Pusher. And I'm Your Pusher. I feel like we've talked about this in a few videos recently regarding drugs in rap. Like in one video recently, we were talking about Dope Man, how Ice Cube, for the majority of the song, he's talking, or the whole time he's talking about drugs and drug dealers and people associated in drugs such as strawberries and whatever. But the song is not positive.
Right.
It's not advocating drug use. Same thing that Ice-T's doing on this song here, I'm Your Pusher. At first, you hear the crack addict wanting dope, and then Ice-T is saying he's got an LP, he's got a 12-inch, and then the crackhead's like, no, that's not what I want. And he's like, no, you're the fool, you're the one who's messing with your mind, blah, blah, whatever. So it's another thing where these rappers are taking a stand on drugs, or showing kind of the positives, not really the positives, but just showing the negatives that come with drug use. And I think it's very clever, the metaphors, the imagery he's putting in there as well. We get the awesome sample, Curtis Mayfield. It's just a lot of things that's very clever in the execution of the song. And the chorus is just great,
Right.
So I love how he paid homage there. And then we also get a very interesting how he's even shouting out the artists that he likes, whether it be Dougie Fresh, Eric B. and Rakim. He also took a slight at LL in there too. But I think the song was just very clever. It was a great single in my opinion.
I agree. It's not one of my picks, but I do think it's clearly one of the best songs on the album. And it really just showed Ice blending that old and the new of what was going on with rap, and then like you were saying with the Curtis Mayfield. And it really, this was an era where artists really did put themselves on the line to put out these anti-drug messages. We had recently done the Great Debaters on It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, and Public Enemy had Night of the Living Bassheads as a single. and that was similar to I'm Your Pusher, was a very anti-drug song. And this is like, yo, let music be your dope. Let music be the thing you get high on. Let music be the thing that, you get addicted to in Ice-T's parlance. And it was just great in that era to see the Public Enemies, the Ice-T's, even EPMD on Strictly Business, sniff blow, hell no. And of course, famously, Dr. Dre saying on Express Yourself that he didn't smoke. It was just all these things of this era where the premier rappers, a lot of them, were putting out don't do drugs messages, but doing it in a very clever way. And this is one example of that. Since we're talking about the singles, I'm going to go and pick my first pick, which is High Rollers. This, to me, maybe the best song on the album and one of Ice-T's best songs, because as Ice does throughout his career, and as he talks about when I interviewed him for my book, The History of Gangster Rap, he wanted to show the highs and lows of the drug game. Yeah, you'll get the money. Yeah, you'll get the girl. Yeah, you'll get the car. Yeah, you'll get the jewelry, but there's the pain in the end, as he says on Rhyme Pays, on that excellent song. But with High Rollers, man, it just really encapsulated the things that I would see, read about, hear about, and knew about as a kid, because I was a little kid when this came out. And to know that this was going on not too far away in Baltimore, not too far away in Washington, D.C., and then to understand that it was also going on in Los Angeles through what Ice-T was saying was an eye-opener to me, in the sense that this is going on around the country, and it wasn't just something that I'd heard about in these songs now, but I could see it when I went into Baltimore, went into DC, or started listening to these records. And it was just so powerful and profound. And Ice-T, I think, doesn't get enough credit as being an elite artist, also doesn't get enough credit as being an elite songwriter, elite storyteller, and someone that really navigates, the street world with the philosophical world, with the right and wrong world. And I just think it's a brilliant expose as to the reality of street life. And I think he just does it in such a phenomenal way on High Rollers.
Wow. So I'll just get into my second pick, which is High Rollers too.
There you go.
And honestly, you really broke it down amazingly, so I'm not going to comment on what you commented on. But one thing that I also like so much about Ice-T is he's another artist that really knows how to start off a song. He knows how to grab your attention with the opening lines where he says, "Speed of life, fast." So that, and then
It's like
just
barefoot
over broken glass. Yeah, and then he talks about the jump rope with the razor blade, but it's also not what he's saying, but how he's saying it, how he's very smooth, how he's very calm, which invokes confidence in what he's saying, which is also something that a high roller would do. So I think that is very clever. It's very slick, and then on top of that, he's showing what, like just like in the song Pain, the positives and then the negatives. So he's kind of more touching up on the perks of being a high roller in the first couple verses. And then what's also unique is Ice-T, he not only talks about the men, he also talks about the females. The females drive Ferraris, not Cadillacs. And the females got big bank accounts. The females are this and that too. So it applies to both sexes, which I thought was awesome, because usually you don't really hear anything about female perspective or things that
and he didn't paint them in a negative or a secondary status. He was like, no, they're doing it just as big, if not bigger sometimes, than the men. And that obviously is true, so that made it all the more powerful.
It's true. And with that too, in the concluding verse, then he's talking about like, I'm not here to comment on what side of the law you should be on, blah, 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 which I thought was a very clever line. And then he ends up saying, but you're smarter than the crooks on Miami Vice, right? And I think that is kind of just like a very smart, simple closer. And that song is just, it's great, and the sample is great. So that had to be one of my picks.
Absolutely. So in a similar vein and similar to the songs both on Power and Ron Pays now that we're referring to, I'm going to go with Drama, because this goes through the progression of a person going through crime, the legal system, and then being executed. And to me, this is toward the beginning of the album, but it also shows Ice-T's brilliance again of like setting these stories and putting it in motion to where the main person or the people that he's talking about often meet these untimely demises. And I think with Drama, it's very, very powerful that this guy that is, one of the pioneers and most likely, I would say, the guy who popularized gangster rap, he's telling you these tales that are not glorifying the life. And that to me is one of the things that makes Ice-T so brilliant, so powerful, so profound, and so important, because the media and a lot of people that think of gangster rap look at it as a mindless exercise, as something that's just glorifying this negative lifestyle. And quite the contrary, if you actually listen to the music. Drama is a great example of that. Amir Pusher is a great example of that. And High Rollers is a great example of that. And we've only talked about 3 songs just on this album, Power, from Ice-T. And that just shows like the brilliance of what Ice-T does.
So, agreed, and Drama is my last pick too.
Oh, how about that?
Just speaking of what I said on High Rollers, of how Ice-T is so great at starting verses. Yeah. And this one, it's really the first second of the song, you just hear him just rhyming, which caught me off guard. But also, one shout out is on a lot of albums earlier, in the 80s and even 90s, you had the lyrics in the actual artwork of the album. So I think that's very cool, so I can't butcher the lyrics. When he says, cruising for a bruise and I'm taking no crap, pipe bomb in my trunk, got a 9 in my lap. Dude, the imagery, the way he's saying it, the way the beat is, and this instrumental is very interesting. It sounds like it could be in like a 80s or 90s video game, but it's very catchy. Even when Ice-T's not rapping, it takes a slight turn in sounds, and it gets rapid, then it goes back to normal, and it's a very cool, like, unique instrumental. I don't know if it's just something that I like or if everyone likes. It's very unique.
Well, to me, the best songs are a great combination of the music and the lyrics. Mm-hmm. So, to me, any song that you guys hear me talk about, I have to love the music. And often you'll hear me, since Amir tends to discuss the lyrics first, I'll often add on with things I like or think are interesting about the music in addition to any other lyrical things. But yeah, I mean, it's a great one.
It is.
Which leads into my, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I was gonna say, and talking about the lyrics of the song, like Ice-T in the first verse, he's talking about, how he's, out of the system, he wants to make payback. Then the second verse, I think it's interesting because when I'd heard this, and this is another thing that I really like about, different artists, is they'll use different slang and different terms, but in this song he says 459, so 459 is the penal code for burglary. So he wants to, take the stereos or take the phones or the colored TVs, what he says in the second verse. But then I thought, because I was confused when I first heard this, because I was like, I thought that was a 211, because I'd heard Eazy-E 211, but 211 is like a robbery. So it's like robbery and burglary are technically 2 different things. So I just thought that was very interesting how Ice-T said that, and then we get the other verses, how then he's now back in jail, but he was straight, but his partner snitched on him. So it's just, yeah, man, the storytelling is great, and the beat was also very dope.
Now, speaking of beats, one of the reasons this is my third pick is the title track, Power, because it just starts the album off in a ferocious sonic manner, And I love that. And I also love the fact that this is one of those songs where we heard the pre-Rhyme Pays Ice-T style of rapping, where he's kind of just braggadocio and rapping a little bit faster and kind of what would be known later as the double time tongue twisting style. He's going a little bit faster and stylistically flipping words and doing all these different things that he doesn't get a lot of credit or acknowledgement for, but Power is a great example of that. And a lot of Ice-T's songs that I also like that come later in his career, whether that's New Jack Hustler or OG, they're a little bit faster and harder sonically, whereas I'm Your Pusher and High Rollers are more like mellow, laid back, pimpish players type of thing. Power is much more aggressive, fast, in your face, and for those reasons I just love the song, even though of course a lot of the other songs later like Personal and different things have much more of the, even Soul on Ice, you have much more of this commentary, insight, different things. Power doesn't have that, but it has a lot of other things that I also love in rap and that we don't see as much from Ice-T and because he has so much potency on what he's best known for, that I just always like Power for that reason. It was a little different, even though he's done it and does do it. It was just something I thought was a great combination of a lot of his talents that don't get as much recognition. So I just like it that way. But those are my 3 picks. You guys got Amir's 3 picks on Ice-T's Power. Be sure to subscribe to both Unique Access Entertainment and Rappin and Snackin, and like, subscribe, share, do all that for both Amir and myself and our channels. And hit us up in the comment section. Somebody will hit you back and let us know what you guys think. Top 3 tracks, Ice-T Power. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir Rahimi.
The Great Debaters, y'all.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the DOC, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.